Hi, welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to talk about one of the biggest vitamin deficiencies that exist in the world. And not only am I going to talk about the typical symptoms that you can find, but also the most susceptible people to get it. And I'm going to explain to you why. So if you want to understand which vitamin is actually doing pretty much a wreck in your life, go ahead and keep on watching. So, before further ado, the vitamin that you are missing most likely is vitamin D. Let me explain. Vitamin D is one of those vitamins that it's really hard for the body to actually capture. And you have two types of people. The ones that aren't able to get it because they don't spend enough time in the sun or consume foods that will help capture it once you actually catch sun. But also, you have the group of people that have a genetic modification that you're not able to even absorb it, even though you get more than enough sunlight. One of those examples is people from the Mediterranean. And the way that I found out was one of the worst, saddest ways. I was in my class learning about vitamins when we were talking about vitamin D. When my teacher dropped a bombshell, most Portuguese people don't have the genetic modification to actually be able to process it. This is sad. What that means is that a lot of people that are Portuguese or even from the Mediterranean, even though we have sun almost all year round and we are always going to the beach every single time during the summer, which should get us more than enough amount to be able to actually have it in our reservoirs when winter comes, we actually have a gene that does not allow us to actually process it correctly. So what that means is that a lot of us actually need to take supplemental vitamin D because we just cannot capture enough. If you belong to those people or those that are scared to go in the sun because of all the anti-aging situation, which means that you put a lot of SPF, which also means that you're scared of going in the sun and you don't give enough sun exposure to be able to actually capture it enough, you may find yourself with a vitamin D deficiency. But funny enough, there's ways to actually figure it out before it gets really bad. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the list of the typical symptoms and also the less typical symptoms so that you're able to see if you may have it and also how to talk to your GP to be able to get yourself tested. So I'm going to look right here so that I don't get this wrong. But you have stuff like brain fog, muscle weakness, mood changes. You could also have in children, severe lack may actually cause rickets. And rickets specifically, you may see incorrect growth patterns, muscle weakness, bone pain, deformity. It could also be shown off as weak, sore, or painful muscles. In adults, normally it shows up as fatigue, bone pain, muscle weakness, aches or muscle cramps, mood changes like depression. And it may show off in like all kinds of different ways. And sometimes it could be also associated with calcium deficiency. So you may find yourself having both. A lot of people may also see themselves getting this along with B12, just because to process each other, they kind of need each other to process. So you may find that you may have, when you find they have vitamin D deficiency, you may find that you may have others because to process it, you need others to process it. So you may find yourself having that issue, and it's very, very typical. You could also have a medical condition that causes you to have vitamin D deficiency. So, for example, cystic fibrosis, Crohn's disease, celiac disease. Basically, the intestines have a hard time absorbing the vitamin D. So, it could also cause that issue. And they may also get it because they have a harder time also absorbing the supplementation. Obesity, so anyone that has a body mass index greater than 30 is associated with a lower vitamin D level. This is because the fat cells keep vitamin D isolated and it's not released. And often obesity takes larger doses of vitamin D supplements to reach and maintain normal levels. Also, anyone that has kidney disease or liver disease can also reduce a certain type of enzymes that also your body needs to change vitamin D to a form that it can be used. And also people that go through weight loss surgery, such as sleeve or gastric bypass, could also find themselves getting a vitamin D deficiency, which is why it's extremely important post-surgery for people to actually get a correct supplementation. There's also medications that can cause vitamin D deficiency, such as laxative, steroids, cholesterol lowering drugs, seizure preventing drugs, tuberculosis drug, which is ripafin, and also the weight loss drug orlistat could also cause that. So you should always talk about with your doctor about the medication that you're taking, if there's a chance of getting vitamin D deficiency or any other type of deficiency. And also, if you think that you may have vitamin D deficiency, talk to your doctor, because it is one of those vitamin deficiencies where it's one of the hardest ones to deal with. You may find yourself having to constantly take supplementation. And if you're someone that you may find yourself having either a condition or a genetic reality where you may not be able to process it very well, you may have to go ahead and take supplementation. And the thing here is that a lot of people dismiss it very quickly because it tends to be associated with mental conditions such as depression. So a lot of doctors may not supplement with vitamin D, and they may think that you are either going through a depression or through a stress bout or through some sort of like mental instability. And I say instability with very high quotes, in your life, or you're getting fatigued or you're getting stressed out, when in reality it could be a vitamin D deficiency. So what I advise is always talk to your doctor and be like, hey, I'm feeling all these symptoms. I don't think is anything specific in my life. I feel like it could be something that I'm missing when it comes to deficiencies. Can we do a vitamin panel and see if there's anything in there? And then if it's not, then there could be something in my life that is just not working. And a good GP or a good family medicine doctor will most likely do all those exams and figure it out before they actually make a definitive diagnosis. Another thing is that people can also have absorption factors. So stuff like if you're consuming K2, if you're consuming magnesium, if you have fat, which I already talked about, it has to do with all these medications. And also another thing is figuring out the supplementation. Sorry. Having vitamin D in a pill form does not work. I'm sorry. You can kill me if you want. The average, typical, correct way of consuming vitamin D is through an oil. So let me explain. The best way to get the most stable and the best absorption out of your vitamin D is to consume it via an oil. And this is because vitamin D is very, very good at disappearing from a pill form. What I mean by this is that vitamin D is one of those types of vitamins that easily oxidizes. And because it easily oxidizes, it has a very big tendency in pill form. If you ever have the tendency of having vitamin D supplementation via pill and you put it in a pill box, especially if you're one of those people that do either a monthly box or a weekly box, you may find that by the time you get to Sunday, your pill may have darkened in comparison with a new pill. And this is because it has a tendency to oxidize. And that is because normally vitamin D needs to be carried via an oil. So what tends to happen, and the best way, is to, instead of consuming it in a multivitamin mineral mix where you have one pill with everything, you have vitamin D separately in a dropper form in an oil. Idealistically, a dark bottle that you keep away in some sort of location that is dark and dry. You plop it in there, and then when you need to take it, you grab it. Most likely the doctor is going to say if it's like 1, 2, 3, or 4 drops, whatever amount. You put that, and you can either go straight into your mouth, which some droppers work to do that. Some of the people, like myself, we have one of those like funky droppers that like you gotta tap on the top for it to come out. A lot of people, they'll do is that they'll wash their hands and drop it into their hand, because since it's an oil, it doesn't get absorbed really fast. So then you're able to kind of like suck on your mouth to do it. It's kind of weird, but it works. And you're probably going to see maybe someone in your life doing it that way, just because it makes it a lot easier for you to take the right dosage. Some people also put it in water, even though I don't really like it, because I find that then it clings to the glass and you don't really take it. Personally, just tap it into your mouth and you can feel the drops falling. If you're concerned, put it in a spoon and then suck on the spoon. So, personally, I find that I have dealt most of my life with vitamin D deficiency, and you might be dealing with it too. You now have all the tools that you need to understand, if one, if you have it, two, the symptoms that are most typical, three, if there's any disorder that you may have that actually causes it, and four, how to check it and the most typical way of supplementation. Now they have all these tools. All you got to do is just go to your doctor and double check everything. So if you need any sort of advice about vitamin D, or if you're uncertain if you should talk to your doctor, my answer right here is do. The quickest way that you can get an answer is talking to a doctor. I am not a doctor, but I have experienced what it's like to have a vitamin D deficiency. It is not a fun time once you get to like the really, really bad levels. So my recommendation is to always check with your GP. Regardless of that, if you want to leave a comment because you like it, or you like my personality, or you like something else, go on ahead. And I also would love if you were to like and hit the subscribe button. I wish you a wonderful week, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.